After 3 green arrows in a row and almost 800,000 rank gained, I'm feeling so much better about my FPL team. Now, with one free transfer this game week, let's take a look at how I could line up ahead of that game week 19 deadline. Here we are with the game week 19 team selection. I want to just say quickly, I hope you all had an amazing holiday period. I've hit 600 subscribers since that last deadline stream, so big shout out to all you new subs. If you aren't yet subscribed, please do consider it for future FPL videos and of course deadline streams. I will be streaming tomorrow from 11 AM UK time for that one in the afternoon deadline. But let's get stuck in with the defense, because it actually has been working pretty well in the last couple of weeks, this defense. In terms of the Arsenal boys, I suppose we're going to start there, because there is an interesting conversation to be had. I mean, I'm not exactly considering it, selling these guys, but their fixtures are starting to get a little bit worse over the next sort of 4 weeks. Brentford away, Brighton away, Spurs at home, Aston Villa at home. I still would back the Arsenal defence to get maybe 3 clean sheets out of the 4 fixtures that are presented there. I just think it's maybe a conversation to be had with, yes, the fixtures are getting weaker. Perhaps there's a transfer out there if you really have some luxury transfers at your disposal. For me, they're still one of the best, well, they're actually joint first best defence in the league currently. I'll show you the stats to actually back that up. Arsenal-Liverpool, expected goals conceded per 90, 0.9, matching with Liverpool on that list. So I still think they're good assets to own, especially a double up in my opinion. We have Robinson playing. Of course, Kirkegge gets subbed out of the squad after his clean sheet against Palace. Bournemouth at home for Robinson. I think Fulham as a defence are underrated still in FPL. I think we all noticed kind of that Robinson trend where a few people brought him in. I'll bring up again the data sheet we've used from Fantasy Football Hub here. You'll see just underneath Newcastle there, Fulham in terms of expected goals conceded per 90, 1.2. So still up with the top guys in the league in terms of a expected goals conceded defence. If you want to use that metric, I think it's a good indication of how good a defence is in FPL. And for me, Fulham are a decent defence. Robinson does get forward as well, which means he's a pretty decent asset. There are thoughts in my mind of maybe transferring out Kirkez this week, getting in Munoz and actually benching Robinson this game week, because I do think Bournemouth are a decent attacking team. I think there is a lot of doubts in my mind that Fulham actually come away with a clean sheet in this fixture, so perhaps that's a transfer I can do. I just feel as though the rotation between Kirkez and Robinson has worked so far, and I do quite like the fixtures of both of them across a long span of games, so perhaps not a transfer really needed at that point, but Munoz is catching my eye with that Southampton at home fixture he's got this game week. In terms of Trent, of course, conceding a goal against Leicester, not really doing much in the game. Again, though, Liverpool coming out on top. They're absolutely title favourites, and they have been for a few weeks now. And I still think Trent's a great asset to own long-term in FPL. Of course, we've seen the pass that he just made to Luis Diaz against Spurs. Those are the type of passes you're going to get from Trent. And we've seen a lot of those attempted in the Leicester fixture. Sadly, nothing attack and return-wise coming to fruition. But overall, the defence there, I think, actually looks pretty strong. I don't think there is a desperate need for a transfer this week. Munoz is really the only guy that's catching my eye, but with one free transfer, I feel as though there are other positions that I maybe could upgrade to get more points out of a transfer. But yeah, really happy with the defence at the moment. Let's move up now to the midfielders. Of course, after 3 green arrows in a row, I'm always going to be very thankful of the players in my squad and their returns over the last few weeks in my FPL team. Sadly, not so the case for Mbeumo, and he does make his way to the bench in this particular game week with that Arsenal at home fixture. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that Mbeumo gets a return against Arsenal. I just think it's a lot less likely than the other players in my squad, which is why he is on the bench this game week. In terms of captaincy, of course, you can see it straight away there on Mohamed Salah. It is a really interesting conversation between Palmer and Salah this game week in particular. Both away from home. I still think, in my eyes, that Salah is the best captaincy option this game week. I just can see a lot of players trying to go to Palmer to get a little bit of rank gain. However, I do think Salah will come out on top with the most points again this game week. I think that West Ham away fixture is actually quite nice for Mohamed Salah. Let's move away from captaincy though, because I think there is other areas of conversation that need to be had about midfield options at the moment. There aren't really any midfield options that are standing out and encouraging me to transfer the likes of an Mbeumo out of my squad to get somebody else in. It's only really Anthony Gordon at the moment, and I feel as though benching Mbeumo this week and then playing him next week against Southampton away from home might be a better way to save a transfer rather than go to Gordon, who does have, I believe, 2 away games on the bounce in the next 2 game weeks against decent sides as well. I mean, not the best sides, Manchester United and Tottenham aren't great sides, but I still think perhaps a transfer save there could be the way to go. Rodgers at home to Brighton Hove Albion. I still think Rodgers is one of the better cheap assets in the game. He just plays so many minutes for Villa. He's an important part of their attack when they do get going. And yeah, I just don't see the need of getting rid of Rodgers anytime soon. I actually, in fact, think if you don't have him at the moment, I think it's not a bad opportunity to bring him in this game week. Sarr, someone I brought in last game week. Of course, he didn't get any returns against Bournemouth, but with 3 points because of the clean sheets, I can't complain too much considering I would have got 0 points from Saka, who of course didn't feature in that Leicester at home fixture. Southampton at home for Sarr, I think is a great opportunity for rank gain for me. The differential aspect of Ismaila Sarr, the great fixture, the good data. Hopefully it all aligns and he has an amazing game week. But yeah, really looking forward to this midfield this game. I think it's a really strong midfield. The only improvement I can really see in terms of a transfer is possibly Mbeumo out, Anthony Gordon in. But yeah, I'm just not too sure with the fixtures that Gordon has in the next 2 weeks. The Premier League's most wanted criminal, Matheus Cunha, yet again returns for me, and I'm just super happy with how this has turned out. I said in the last few weeks, I actually plan to keep Cunha. I think he'll be a differential. I don't think he'll get banned to the new year. It is slowly panning out. I've gotten 3 returns from Cunha since saying that, so super happy I made that decision. In terms of Isak, really fortunate that Saka got that injury, because otherwise I don't think I would have been able to get to Isak as easy as I would have without that Saka injury. So super happy to have him in the squad. Of course, he just keeps returning, and that's what I want in my Premier League players, consistency in that FPL squad. When we talk about consistency, João Pedro is just consistently bad. He just hasn't done anything in my FPL team for a long while now. There are a lot of conversations in my mind to get rid of him, but as you all know, in FPL right now, there really aren't many forward options that seem amazing picks. I mean, this week you could perhaps argue the fact that Mateta plays Southampton at home, but he really hasn't been performing too well for Crystal Palace, to be honest. So yeah, there's not a lot of options I would actually bring in if I was to sell João Pedro. I think it would be for a more high ticket forward. Maybe Solanke and Watkins come into the conversation, but yeah, not a lot of forward options at the moment. In terms of fixtures for the forwards this game week, all away from home, so not ideal. Cunha with Spurs away, I actually don't mind. Isak, similar. Manchester United away, I think it's actually a decent fixture for Newcastle. João Pedro's fixture, I think it's okay for him, but yeah, he just hasn't been good, has he? But yeah, let's just skip to the transfer plans section of the video. Of course, it's been such a quick turnaround for deadlines in this festive period. I haven't had time to plan out a transfer plans video, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that in the next section of the video. Now, as I mentioned, there aren't too many options in the game that I really, really want to bring in this game week. I think the glaringly obvious one you could make in my squad in particular is actually just Mbeumo out and Anthony Gordon of Newcastle in. I think it makes sense with sort of the fixtures past Man United away and Spurs away. Of course, he has had a few returns in the last few game weeks, so I don't think it's really a bad option in terms of a transfer you could bring in. But I'm just not sure I think it's necessary for this game week when I'm going to be benching Mbeumo anyway. If I was to bring in Gordon, I think it would be the case that I actually just go ahead and bench João Pedro. Other than that, I think it's a transfer I just could save and just play João Pedro this game week. Another option I possibly could go for selling Kirkez and going to Munoz. What would allow me to do, it would allow me to play Munoz over Robinson this game week for that Southampton at home fixture. And again, Munoz has great fixtures coming up, as all Palace players do, of course. I just think it's all right to keep a hold of Kirkez at the moment. I think his fixtures as well rotate quite nicely with Robinson, and I think most of the time I will be benching Kirkez with Robinson's good fixtures coming up. You've got Ipswich, West Ham, Leicester that on the horizon. I don't think they're bad fixtures at all. So again, maybe a transfer that's not necessary. Perhaps it's one I could do. I think there's big upside in that Southampton home fixture, which I think there could be, but I'm just not sure it's an essential transfer I need to be making right now. Completely kind of a transfer that's really chasing some differential players, and perhaps going for someone who you really shouldn't really be targeting right now is Harry Wilson of Fulham. I think that price point, his output he is putting on when he gets the minutes is really nice, but I feel as though a safer option is a Wobie there. What it allows me to do in my squad, though, in terms of transfers, is actually get rid of João Pedro and move in to Ollie Watkins for a few weeks, because we know that John Duran card has, the appeal has been turned down. I disagree with that greatly, of course, but you know, that's just what the Premier League are going for. So perhaps Watkins in could be a transfer for a -4 this week. Let's click make transfers, and then I would play Harry Wilson instead of where is he? Instead of Morgan Rogers there. But you know, it's a very unnecessary transfer. It's just an idea on my mind to get another premium sort of forward into the squad while there is an opportunity for point game, because Duran is sadly going to be missing the next few fixtures. For me, yeah, I'll say it again, transfers, just there's not a lot of guys who I'm really paying attention to at the moment. If it's the case that Cunha somehow gets banned before the new year, you could just move into Solanke and just go that route. You know, someone who's going to play games, has somewhat decent fixtures coming up. You know, Wolves at home's decent. Newcastle at home's okay. Arsenal away's not great at all. 22 and 23 are looking pretty decent for Solanke, but I feel as though that transfer could hold off until we get more concrete news about Matheus Cunha. But yeah, overall pretty happy with the team. I don't think there's a transfer desperately needed with the squad. It's only really João Pedro and Mbeumo, who I'm not a big fan of in my team at the moment. So yeah, perhaps I roll the transfer this game week. Let me know though, what would you do with my FPL team this game week? Now, of course, with the deadline being at 1 o'clock UK time tomorrow, I will be streaming just like normal on both YouTube and TikTok from 11 AM UK time. Of course, if you have enjoyed today's video, make sure you drop a like, and if you aren't yet subscribed for future FPL videos and deadline streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.